You are listening to a recording from the 2021 PM&R Scholars Virtual Residency Fair. We would like to take a moment to thank the residency programs who have taken the time to present at our fair this year. This year's PM&R Scholars Virtual Residency Fair is supported by PM&R Recap, the best resource for your physiatry clinical preparation, audition rotations, board preparation, and beyond. PM&R Recap offers 35 hours of review videos, hundreds of review questions, and even oral board cases. Head to pmnrrecap.com to learn more.
Now we can see it.
There we go. Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Appreciate everyone's long attention spans, and thanks for sticking it out all the way for us, batting cleanup tonight. So my name is Dr. Nikola Dragojlovic. I'm the residency program director at McGovern Medical School of UT Health, the UT Houston PM&R program down in Houston. So we'll be going over quickly our program structure, some recent changes and what's going on. And then of course, happy to answer your questions and try to keep you entertained along the way. So today joining me will be Dr. Heather Nalman, our administrative chief resident, Dr. Diana Johnson, who does a lot of our work on social media, and Dr. Noor Abdullah, who is our Associate Chief of Wellness. So as questions start coming through, I hope that they will pipe up and answer and share their perspective as residents in our program. Dr. Francisco is our chair. He's been our department chair for many years, and I can say that I personally benefited from his mentorship as a resident and a fellow, and now as a faculty member and program director. He is extremely invested in developing what I call the UT family, which is, I think, something that sets our program apart from others. Joel Frontera is our vice chair of education, working dutifully to help progress our educational curriculum forward, and keeping up with all the trends in education and where physiatry is going. And yours truly, of course, that's not my actual picture. And our home is the Texas Medical Center. The Texas Medical Center is a very special place. It is home to 2 level 1 trauma centers for the city of Houston. It is home to multiple academic healthcare systems, of which we are a part of, and is a huge referral center for transplants, LVADs, any pathology under the sun, you name it, we get to see it. And one of the things that I'm most thankful for is that physical medicine and rehabilitation has a huge presence in the Texas Medical Center. And where that comes into play for our residents and fellows is that they get to benefit from early involvement in patients' courses as they get their care here, and being able to have a broad variety of patients to see over the course of their training. A few stats about how big the Texas Medical Center is. So we have a lot of names. On ERAS, we are the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston. We colloquially call ourselves UT Houston to try to distinguish ourselves from the other programs like UT Austin or UT San Antonio. But our medical school is the McGovern Medical School at UT Health. So if you see those names on our white coats and our social media platforms, please don't be alarmed. That's all us. We are an ACGME accredited categorical 4-year program. We have 4 residents per year. And we have our primary rotation sites at Tier Memorial Hermann in the Texas Medical Center, and MD Anderson Cancer Center. We're very proud of the fact that Tier was ranked the #2 rehabilitation hospital in the United States by the US News and World Report. And MD Anderson Cancer Center was ranked as the #1 cancer rehabilitation center in the US News and World Report. And that's something that we're particularly proud of, and something that we're happy that our residents have access to, because this year's US News and World Report changed. They started using quality metrics more, evaluating rankings based on patient outcomes, and the residents have a big part in that. And that makes me very proud as a program director. Memorial Hermann is the largest level 1 trauma center in the country. It is a huge center for cardiovascular disease with a big cardiac transplant and LVAD program, liver transplant, lung transplant programs, and we have an inpatient rehab unit there that sees a lot of those patient populations as well. And your internship is based at Memorial Hermann in the Medical Center. Dr. Frontera and I made this video in the last recruitment cycle. We'll be making a new one coming up here in another month or so. But in the short term, at least, you can hop over to this YouTube address and watch this video. It has a lot of details about our program, the curriculum, the benefits that I won't get all into now for the sake of time. But feel free to hop on over and check out that video and fill up your cup of Star Wars and Marvel memes, thanks to Dr. Frontera. So some recent program updates. I think the biggest thing that has come through the pipeline for our program is that TIER is now a home-based call. It was formerly an in-house call, which could be very intense and very busy. When you were on call, we transitioned to a home-based call program now, which I think is working much better for the residents in terms of continuity of care with patients and being more involved in patient care with the primary attending and having more learning opportunities that way. And the big backbone of that is also the addition of full-time hospitalist coverage at TIER. And so, like many other freestanding inpatient rehab facilities, we have a large hospitalist presence to help manage the medical complexity, which is becoming more and more common in inpatient rehabilitation. Also, TIER opened up its pediatric inpatient rehabilitation unit, which is something that we're very excited about as well, something that our residents get to rotate through and experience firsthand, being very involved in the management of those children and their rehabilitation needs. We've developed a dedicated prosthetics and orthotics rotation with Danielle Melton, who is our program director for our limb loss rehabilitation fellowship. And so as a PGY4, you'll rotate through her very busy clinics and consults to brush up on prosthetics, orthotics, pain management, and that limb loss care. We've developed a senior elective where our residents can rotate through any available UT Health GME program. So this year we have one resident rotating through an offsite to get a better look at what private physiatry practice is like. We have another resident rotating through wound care and hyperbarics to develop those skills. And so that's very flexible, and I'm happy we have the ability to offer that. We've done a lot of expansion of our interventional pain and procedural training over the years with some new rotations and faculty members like Dr. Brian Bluell, Dr. John Sianka, Jason Chen, and Ajay Sambasavan. And so that's grown really quickly. And that's something that I think has been a big boost for our residents, getting much more hands-on procedural experience. And then we've developed a new mock oral boards curriculum to help you prepare for your board examinations and part two of the AB PM&R boards. So everyone always wants to know where our graduates go. This past class did fantastic with a variety of fellowships in pain medicine, sports medicine, and brain injury medicine. Last year's class was similar. Two of them stayed on as faculty in our department, which I'm extremely proud of. And previous class also had quite a lot of diversity in terms of fellowship and practice. So I think coming from our program, you have very strong neurologic rehabilitation exposure. I think you have strong musculoskeletal skills, consultation skills, and that will allow you to be flexible in terms of your career path and, you know, pick any type of practice that you choose in the future. Just some quick updates in the procedural counts, because if you watch our video, you'll see that we didn't have those updated because we were in the middle of the academic year, but we've had no difficulty with our residents meeting and exceeding ACGME quotas for these types of procedures. And over the years, the procedural exposure has just grown and grown, something that we're very happy about. And then getting back to what we all as faculty members are trying to cultivate, and that's that UT family. You know, with 4 residents a year, we're a small to medium sized program, but you know, we're very close and we support one another. And we do share some educational resources with the Baylor College of Medicine PM&R residency program. So even though we are a bit smaller program, you're often working alongside Baylor PM&R residents as well. namely at Tier. And that allows for you to not just expand your network of available faculty mentors, but also to feel like you're part of a bigger program, even though our program is a little bit smaller compared to other advanced programs. So closing off, please feel free to find us on social media, on Twitter and Insta. You can always call Kathy Brown, our coordinator, or email her. She has been our program coordinator since 2011 and has takes all of the residents under her wings and is very happy to help you during the application process. So without further ado, I wanted to open it up to any questions. And I asked that Dr. Johnson and Dr. Nalman and Dr. Abdullah introduce themselves. I see them hanging out.
Yeah, I'm Diana Johnson. I'm one of the third-year residents. Happy to be here. I've been listening to all the other presentations too. I was applying once upon a time. And so we're happy to answer any questions you have. I'll let Noor and Heather introduce themselves. Noor, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Noor Abdullah. I'm one of the PGY3s and the current Associate Chief of Wellness in the program. I wanted to say a quick thank you for the PM&R Scholars for giving us this opportunity to showcase our program. And we'll be happy to answer any questions from future Physiatry applicants.
And hey, everyone. I'm Dr. Nalman. I'm one of the fourth years and the admin chief this year. Yes, thanks again for letting us do this. Another great year. Feel free to ask any questions that you have.
So I'm going to just poke through the chat and see what's there. So it looks like Prague was asking, how can non-US EMGs show interest in our program since they have not been able to rotate? Yes, that has been unfortunate. A lot of applicants have not been able to rotate through our program because of UT Health policies related to COVID. COVID has hit Houston pretty hard, and that has limited what we can offer in terms of rotations, unfortunately. But in terms of showing your interest, I would love to hear from you at some of the upcoming events we'll be doing. So we'll be hosting a residency program open house at the PM&R Virtual Residency Fair. So you can come find me there. You can always reach out to me on Twitter, or you can reach out to us on Insta as well. I'm happy to set up a time to talk about your interest and answer any questions that come up there. How does an applicant with no ties to Houston or Texas improve their chances to interview at your program? Tell us about your interest in your personal statement. I think Houston is a fantastic city. I think that life in Texas is really good, and would love to hear about what your particular interests are. And so you can put that down in your personal statement. That's a great way to highlight where you're interested, not just in our program, but for a lot of other PM&R programs too. What are you looking for in terms of your residency education? How might the program that you're applying to fit into that? What are you looking for in a city that you want to live in for the next 4 or 5 or 6 years? And so I think those are things that you will want to develop in your personal statement and in your conversations with residents and faculty members to try to make sure that it's a good fit for you.
And Dr. D is telling the truth there, because there's plenty of residents in our program that are not from Texas. So, and
I'm not from Texas, I'm a Californian.
Yeah.
What's it like living in Houston? I'm going to say that I grew up in San Diego and I went to medical school in New York, and I've been in Houston since 2013. And I really, really like this city. For me, it's been a great place to live, and I love life in Texas. But this may be a question better asked for Dr. Johnson, Dr. Abdullah, and Dr. Nalman.
And just about 5 minutes left.
I grew up in the Woodlands, just north of Houston. And we hardly ever came down to Houston. So when I moved here after I went to UT Austin for undergrad, And when I moved here, it was like a whole new city. Some of my favorite things is one, the convenience. Houston, a lot of flights come in and out of here. So if you're not from here, it's very easy to get back to where you came from. If you want to visit family, it's cheap. And so if anyone's would feel homesick down here, that would be a selling point, I think. And then Houston also is cheap cost of living. And so your residency salary goes a little bit further away than maybe in some other cities. And the food scene is crazy. So much stuff to eat and so much beer to drink, if that's your thing as well. Now I'll pass it to one of my co-residents.
Yeah, I can speak for myself. I'm originally from Syria, but I was born and raised in Dubai. I moved here since 2017, and Houston been home since then. I absolutely love it. I believe that it has like one of the most interesting and diverse culinary scenes in the United States. Whatever kind of food you're craving, just name it, we have it. And one of the things that also like distinguishes Houston is a diverse racial and ethnic composition, which to me represents like the nation's demographic future. Like the last time I checked, there is like more than 100 languages spoken here. So if you know like multiple languages, that's definitely something positive here.
And I'll just, I guess, fourth what everyone else said, but I am a native Houstonian. I grew up actually not too far. Been going to the Med Center for personally and now working there. So it's different. And I've kind of seen it grow too over time. And I love Houston. I know it's home and I'm biased. I really enjoy the Houston Rodeo. I really like there's tons of concerts, pre-COVID times, and hopefully they'll come back. There's tons of stuff to do, out to eat, bars, wineries, even Austin, Dallas, like everything's kind of close. We have Galveston. It's not the prettiest beach, but if you need a beach, it's like a 30-minute drive. You just need to get a break. There's Lake Houston. There's tons to do. And yes, I know it's hot here. So if you enjoy a nice warm climate, this is perfect for you. If you like to get tan, lay by a pool for at least 11 months out of the year, it's great.
Thanks, y'all. I'm glad somebody mentioned the food scene. Thank you, Dana.
Yes. Are there any opportunities for residents to utilize OMT? So there are a lot of residents in the past, I know, that have really kind of spearheaded helping us residents that were in MD programs learn more about that. And so I think there's a lot of room for someone who's very interested in something like that to grow in education at the program for sure.
Yeah, when I was a resident and a fellow in this program, there was a pretty active OMT club. We had tables. They had at least once a month practical sessions to help utilize those skills. We have a lot of DO faculty on our staff, and so use of OMT is always welcome at our program.
And just about a minute left.
Thank you. One question was, are there opportunities to get involved with prosthetics research in your program? Yes, absolutely. We have a limb loss rehabilitation fellowship. We have huge research opportunities available through TIER, which has its own dedicated research center, and our residents have access to all of that. Does UT Houston offer any diversity and inclusion efforts? Absolutely. As part of UT Health GME, the UT Health Medical School, we have a dedicated diversity and inclusion curriculum and protocol that we follow. We want to make sure that our program reflects the city of Houston and can help deliver care the best that way. Our medical school will be having a diversity and inclusion fair coming up in another month or so that we're going to be a part of. So please come to that and we can tell you more about those efforts.
Thank you all so much for attending this evening, and please reach out to the programs and finish asking your questions through social media or email. Just to remain fair to all of the programs, we do try to stick to the 20-minute time slots, but hope that you can interact further in the near future and throughout the rest of the application season.